Alrighty, folks, understand this is January. Not a good sign for movies, right? Because we've got all the Oscar nominees. We've got War Horse, we've got The Artist, we've still got Mission Impossible, which was finally #1. We've got Sherlock Holmes. So we've got a lot of really terrific movies out. So January tends to be the dumping grounds for movies. How rude is that? Okay, we've got 3 of them that open today, or open this weekend. What we've got is Roadie, which stars Ron Elwood, Bobby Cannavale, and Jill Hennessy. They refer to it as a refreshingly eclectic 70s hard rock soundtrack. Never a good sign when they refer to the movie by the soundtrack. Ron Eldard plays Jimmy, who's a kid from Queens. He's been the roadie for the Blue Oyster Cult for 26 years, which is a rock band. He's gotten fired, he's kind of lost, so he goes home to visit Mom. The problem with this is that even though the acting is really good, and apparently Ron put on 30 pounds, I don't know why people view that as acting. There's nobody to like in this movie. It's probably why people are kind of not necessarily enthusiastic about independent movies. The underlying theme in independent movies seems to be no one to like. Okay, it's independent. So I mean, it's sort of interesting and it's atmospheric, and Ron Eldard is really good in it, but there's no one to like in this one. Norwegian Wood. This seems to be mostly about music. Norwegian Wood, obviously, the John Lennon song. It's based on a novel which is Japanese, set in the 60s, when students were rebelling against the government. It focuses on a young man who's 19, and we find out in flashbacks his best friend committed suicide, which we actually know from the very beginning, but we don't know why or how or when or under what circumstances, and that's what's told in flashback. The young man falls desperately in love with, the way only 19-year-olds could do, with a woman who's beautiful but basically unavailable and a little whacked. And she has emotional problems of her own. There's another young woman who's much more wholesome and therefore, of course, much less attractive to a 19-year-old. This is really a beautifully shot movie. I mean, it's really, everybody's gorgeous, impossibly thin, fabulous skin, and it is charming. It's 133 minutes, which by my calculations makes it 2 hours and 13 minutes, so it's long. But in terms of how it looks and the cast, I'd give it 5 stars. If you happen to speak Japanese, you don't have to deal with the subtitles. But it's actually a really beautiful movie, and if you stick with it, it's actually worth your time. It's not going to be around at Oscar time, but it's a different kind of movie. It's a different kind of scenario, different kind of plot, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's haunting because it's so beautiful. So I gave it 3 stars. I think I gave Roadie 2.5 stars. Is that true? Yeah. Okay. The movie that I probably liked the best this week is Lucy's. Do you know what a Lucy is? Do you guys know what a Lucy is? I didn't. A Lucy means when you go to buy a cigarette, and instead of buying a carton, you buy one, right? Or a couple. They're called Lucy's. Did you know that, Reg? Yeah, well, what do I know? I'd never heard the term before. And the idea being that you're so uncommitted to life, you have such little focus that you don't even care about a cigarette brand, or at least that's part of the point of the movie. The hero here is very attractive. He's also the director and the producer of the movie, and he's very talented. He's very good looking, and we first of all think he's a young stockbroker. It turns out he's not. He's a pickpocket. And we find out how that came to be, and we find out that there's a girl that he was involved with 3 months ago who shows up, 3 months pregnant. I really kind of like this movie. He calls her Lucy, or he asks for Lucy, meaning the cigarettes, and it turns out her name is Lucy, Lucy, so she thinks he's psychic. And so, I mean, it's a movie of misunderstanding and people trying to find their way. But I found it kind of charming. This is one of those independent movies where there are people to like, even though at the beginning, at first glance, you think, oh no, more flaky people that are not very interesting and not very true to life. I'm not sure how true to life it is, but I thought it was fun and interesting and offbeat. I gave it 3.5 stars. So the movies this week, we got Roadie with Ron Eldard, which is a lost guy. You've got Norwegian Wood, which is a Japanese lost guy. And you've got Lucy's, which is a modern American yuppie lost guy. So I guess it's appropriate that January is all about lost souls. of the three, I mean, they're all worth your time for various different reasons. They'll probably do much better on DVDs than they're going to do in the movie theaters. I don't think any of them are going to do any business. But if you've seen all the movies around, like I have, and you're looking for something a little different, they all have something to recommend them. As I said, I'd probably pick for the whole experience more Lucy's than anything else. You get more details at Dr. Joy Reviews or drjoy.com, drjoyreviews.com or drjoy.com. All right, so more movies. But again, this is the time of year where people tend to catch up on movies that have already been released, like Mission Impossible will do well again. Sherlock Holmes will do well again. Because I think that finally the Chipmunk movie will probably drop out of sight because kids are back in school. But and do go see The Artist if you haven't seen it. Coriolanus is opening this month wide too, and I don't know. I don't think I put it on my 10 best because it only opened in Los Angeles for 5 minutes. But it's really a terrific movie. It stars and was directed by Ralph Fiennes, and it's Shakespeare, and it's Rafe's take on what would happen if you set a Shakespeare play in the year 2011 in Afghanistan or Iraq. Vanessa Redgrave is also in it, Jessica Chastain, who's in everything, and Gerard Butler, so good cast. Alrighty, for this week, probably Lucy's. Check out drjoyreviews.com. I'm Dr. Joy Browne.